Good afternoon, everybody. This is Don again, and it is time for episode 65 of Practical Reality. It's a Sunday afternoon, 3:30 or so. It's hot. It's a hot day. It's not really that hot temperature-wise, but it is very humid, and you can feel the humidity rising, and it's going to be a very hot week. I think it's going to go over 100 sometime this week. Wow. So summer is here, and since summer is here, I decided not to go to the park and sit there and bake in the sun and need a shower and a half. I need a shower and a half hour after sitting there. So I'm sitting out here on the deck among the plants, and our garden is doing well here, as you can see. Hold on. My wife and I love to plant that garden every year. The grapefruit tree right there is our pride and joy. It seems like every year it bounces back to better than it was the year before, even though it almost dies every winter. You have to bring it inside, and keeping it inside is just not good for a plant that should be outside in weather just like this. So anyway, today's topic is going to be a continuation of what I did in episode, I believe it was 64 or 63, standards. This is like part 2 of my standards, my talk about standards. So I've got basically like 4 that I want to cover that I think are very, very important. And the first one would be empathy. Now, I just read a post on LinkedIn about children and how to raise them. And the woman who was putting up the post was talking about how empathy is something. She didn't mention empathy specifically. What she said is that teaching your child to sit with the lonely kid in the cafeteria who's sitting all by themselves. That's something incredibly important. And I don't ever really believe that I was one of those kids who sat by themselves, but I always did feel kind of lonely in school, many times. And kids can be very, very cruel. So being able to teach empathy to your children and to develop empathy within yourself in general is a highly desirable quality. I think would improve the quality of your life and the quality of your children's lives and the quality of the people around you. And yet, empathy is thought of as such in some circles, I should say, as being a weakness. And it certainly is not a weakness. It is a strength. It is character. It shows development. It shows maturity. And I think it's a very worthy personality trait to be developed in any person. The second standard I want to cover this afternoon would be looking for the good in people, okay? And in my opinion, looking for the good in people first requires you to look for the good in yourself. And how are you going to do that, okay? You can't do that if you are going to be continuously moving in 4th gear all the time. Someone who never sits down and takes time for themselves to reflect upon themselves and their life and their situation and how they want to change it. If you are guided like a stick in a stream just floating down every single day, then you're not in the right place. You have to be more like a tree that can withstand the flow, or a boulder in a stream that just the water bounces off of it and keeps going, but the boulder remains in place. That is the way to look at yourself. And when you can do that, that's when you can start seeing the good within yourself, if you can take the time to examine yourself. And how do we know that this kind of thinking or this kind of development is needed in society? Just take a look at social media. I'll give you an example, an easy to reference example. I've been a fan of the Knicks for 50 years, and I'm ecstatic that they just won their first championship in 53 years. I went to the parade, as you saw in my most recent video. But even though while the Knicks were on a championship run, you would call it, for this season, there were still plenty of people who were willing to criticize the team at any moment for anything. And I don't know how many times I wrote a post or a reply to a post saying, look, just calm down. This team is good. We're doing well, okay? But the easiest thing for people to do is to find something negative to complain about. Oh, Karl Anthony Towns isn't doing this. Oh, Jalen Brunson was inconsistent. Mikal Bridges wasn't worth all those draft picks. Mitchell Robinson can't stay healthy. He's too weak. And yet, what did these people do? What did these 12 or 18 guys on this team do? They put together a championship season almost unlike anything, certainly that New York has seen in a very long time. It was a breath of fresh air for New York sports, and it will be remembered for generations to come. So what is the point of that, okay? If you are looking for the good in yourself, you are not looking for bad things to point out about other people. If you look for the good in yourself, then you naturally start to look for the good in others, okay? It's not that difficult a skill to develop. Again, if you can be the boulder or the tree at the edge of that stream and not get blown away by the water's rush, you can then summon the intuition to sit still for a few moments and examine yourself and find out what's good about yourself, even if you might have forgotten, or if society makes you forget because of the constant pressure they put on you to perform or to look your best or to never be weak, whatever, okay? This is the kind of self-development that will have incredible benefits for you years and years and years in the future. The third topic I want to cover today, as far as your standards is concerned, is to filter your influences. I did a whole video on this a few months back. Filtering your influences is so important. Where do you get your information from? Now, I'm not talking about from a political standpoint or anything like that, okay? What do you listen to, okay? What beauty do you have in your life? Or are you constantly surrounded by this negativity, that like the kind of social media activity I was just talking about? That kind of stuff is easy to find, and that kind of stuff tracks you, and you are automatically like directed towards this kind of content and activity on social media. So it's almost impossible to escape. So that means you have to be conscious of your efforts to make sure you make time to include the good. I have the, what's it called, the Good News Network that sends me a story or two every day. Sometimes I don't read it, but when I do, I'm always glad, okay? There's a lot of good stuff that's going on in the world that has to make you hopeful. And of course, then you can find other things that represent beauty, like the garden that I have here that I can come out and sit in or near anytime I want, okay? Then there's the park, there's the outdoors, there's beauty everywhere. There's beauty in people themselves. You have to search for that because it's so buried under the pile of crapola that they throw at us every single day. But there is beauty within everybody that you can find if you seek it out. And to be able to develop that time and that skill and that trait within yourself, to be able to appreciate the beauty of what's around you and what people are doing that furthers the progress of this world, then there's inner peace to be found there, okay? And there is life, there is enhancement, there is appreciation and gratitude, which is incredibly important to be the vibrational state that you maintain on a regular basis. And then last, and probably most difficult, is to stay in the present moment. I have seen so many posts. People are waking up to this fact that the present moment is the only moment that matters. If you're laying around worrying about your future, oh my God. I remember one of the guys on my team has what would you call it? He's turned fear into an acronym. It stands for Future Event Appearing Real, okay? You don't know whether it's going to happen or not. You have no idea. You fear it's going to happen to you. You worry about it, and it may come to pass. But all the worrying that you do about it isn't doing you one single bit of good, okay? And it's stealing the energy that prevents you from being able to do something constructive about it or taking proactive action in order to prevent it from happening. You simply will it into being by laying around worrying about it and then, getting stifled in your action because you feel overwhelmed. That is highly unproductive. And believe me, I'm not holier than thou here. I have found myself in that situation many times, but the practice that I have developed, the habit that I have, even if I go a few days without being completely reflective. I still manage to catch myself at least a couple of times a day and say, okay, I can do something about this, and I don't have to feel this way. Remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the essence, and you are also not the one who creates your consciousness. You are the receptor of consciousness from a conscious universe, and therefore you are in touch with the energy of that universe, and you can influence the energy of that universe to bring you things that you desire. And that is just fact. And it has been proven now, it's being proven over and over again by science that that is the truth. Consciousness does not originate in the human mind. Consciousness originates in the universe around you. The universe is data, basically, which is a brand new concept to me. But that's what the universe is. And you are, nothing is created in that universe until you observe it, until you make it so. You create the universe around you. And that is just absolutely true. So being able to stay in the present moment and be the creator instead of being driven by circumstances will make a tremendous difference in how you see yourself, the control that you feel you have, and the outcomes that you produce. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate everyone who comes to my channel and subscribes. And I welcome any sort of discussion that you may have. I'm going back inside. It is hot. The humidity is high. It's really high, and I think it's gonna be like 104 later this week. So I hope everyone stays dry and cool and protected, peaceful and prosperous. Have a great day.